Tammy about what I wanted to do. So that's all I have to say. And I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Just make sure you go upstairs and start that paperwork, okay?
Okay. Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you, Martin. Gary, board?
Good morning. I haven't seen anything lately in the Pioneer News or Turkey discussion. How do we stand with the Grand Reserve?
Well, I can share that with you, or Keith can, either way. Here's exactly where we stand with it right now. Until we move animal control, you won't see a bulldozer going up through that facility to cut a road. And we're hopefully that's going to happen by the end of June 30th of this year. And the rest of it's up to the developer, and we can bounce him in here when he has what I'm going to say the complete package done. He doesn't want to do any more what I'm going to say announcements without that, but it's going to happen. It's real. There's 62 acres at that site, and you will see a lot of opportunities at that exit for the county to receive some revenue in the future.
Okay.
Is that fair enough, Gary?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Presentation. Colonel Ritchie, the commander of Fort Knox, someone near and dear to our heart, and Commander Ritchie wants to talk to us about their digital air-to-ground integration range update. Commander, it's all yours.
Thanks, Chuck.
Yes, sir.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
Awesome. I know we had a day off yesterday, so it's gonna take me a little bit to get warmed up. All right, so just wanna say hello to everyone. I'm Colonel Chris Ritchie, the Fort Knox Garrison Commander. For those of you not familiar with the term Garrison Commander, I'm a little bit of mayor, a little bit of city manager. That's basically what it is for the Army, for Fort Knox. So I appreciate you, Judge Summers, and the Fiscal Court for affording me the opportunity to talk with you about a range on post that is about to reopen. More specifically, I plan to highlight what the range is, the types and expected frequency of associated training, and why we believe it is prudent to address the Fiscal Court as part of helping promote awareness and understanding. Next slide. I'll start by quickly going back 8 decades. A significant portion of Fort Knox's southeastern area, which is in southwestern Bullitt County, called the Rolling Fork Tank Range, came online in 1943. It was later renamed Yano Range after Medal of Honor recipient Rodney J.T. Yano, and has been one of the primary Fort Knox ranges throughout its existence. Next slide. All manner of tank, Bradley fighting vehicle, aviation, mounted and dismounted training have regularly occurred at Yano Range through the years, and up until the Armor School moved to Fort Moore, Georgia, the range was active for about 200 days a year. Following the Armor School's departure in the 2010-2011 timeframe, the range was still in use for up to 150 days a year. That is because there are few rangers that offer what Yano does. So units from across the Department of Defense came here to train. It's a massive footprint, and the Rolling Fork River Basin is flat, which allows ground units to maintain long line of sight to targets. Back in 2010, which again was when the Armor School was moving from Fort Knox, the Army determined that newer, reimagined, and more advanced technological ranges would be needed to improve the training our service members require in order to be best prepared for future conflicts. And thus the Digital Air Ground Integration Range, or DAGR, was born. Next slide. Fort Bliss, Texas, and Fort Knox were chosen as the 2 sites for such a capability to be built at active Army military reservations. So why Fort Knox in particular? There's several reasons. Yano Range already fit the profile for the type of range needed for a DAGR, so it costs less to construct at Fort Knox. For perspective, its improved footprint is about 3,650 acres when you include the footprint of the impact area, essentially where ordnance will or likely detonate upon impact. We're talking about 9,900 acres. It's up to 5 kilometers wide, about 3 miles at some points, and 8 kilometers long, about 5 miles. Having Yano Range in a hot or in-use status causes minimal to no impacts to other Fort Knox ranges. The same can't be said for ranges at most other Army installations, where other adjacent ranges need to be closed while you're using this one. The 101st Airborne Division out of Fort Campbell, Kentucky, by virtue of their mission, is number 3. This is not a newly created range with never before heard training activity emanating from the southeastern area of Fort Knox. Far from it, in fact, it's still Yano Range from 1943, albeit with significant upgrades to keep necessary pace with change. Next slide. So I've only been in Fort Knox since last July, but I have been made aware that the subject of Dagger has been communicated over the last several years in various forums: news media, Chamber of Commerce events, Knox Regional Development Alliance engagements, compatible use plan, open houses, meetings with area elected officials and civic leaders, with area planning and development officials and realtor associations, and more. So this really shouldn't be a news or surprise to those living near Fort Knox. That said, as we all know, there may still be some who say they were caught off guard when they hear Yano Range training. We're trying to avoid that as best we can. This is where we kindly ask for your assistance in spreading the word and helping people understand, especially in the event you receive questions from your constituents. For added context, when it comes to military training, we don't do any more training than what's necessary due to a multitude of considerations. This includes being a good neighbor, being fiscally responsible, and making the best and prudent use of service members and units' time. At the same time, we as a nation have a solemn obligation to ensure our troops and units can maintain critical capabilities and readiness during the daytime and nighttime hours. While training occurs on Fort Knox virtually every day, and even up to 100 training events in single days at times, we do put out notifications on occasions when it's believed training will be particularly louder than normal. It's an imperfect science because it's hard to predict the atmospheric conditions, which have a vote on noise levels. But it is a step we take to provide a heads up. That includes posting messages to Fort Knox Facebook and X, formerly Twitter, as well as emails to local judges and executives, mayors, and law enforcement agencies. Next slide. So in closing, I hope this presentation provided a helpful overview. Team Knox is very thankful for today's opportunity to speak with you, and we recognize and appreciate how good communication goes a long way toward awareness, understanding, and appreciation. The soldiers, families, and civilian employees of Fort Knox are privileged to call Central Kentucky home, and that is in thanks in large part to the military-friendly and patriotic atmosphere. We're fortunate, and again, thank you for this level of support. I'd be glad to take questions. I brought some pros with me, and if you prefer to reach out later with questions, that's great too. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Commander. Any questions, members of the court?
No, I think that was very detailed, and I really appreciate the update, and I do want to say thank you for your service and everything it takes to defend our nation. So thank you all for being here, and I know you're kind of a partner with a large part of your map and blueprint being in Bullitt County, so thanks for the update.
Yep,
Thank you, Magistrate.
absolutely.
So we will have a little more noise and vibrations that, it's going to be a little more picked up as far as training.
So when you look at the capability for the Army across the eastern seaboard, really from the Mississippi east, there's a fair number of aviation brigade units and some ground combat units. We expect business to pick up about roughly 200 days out of the year. We expect that range to be in a hot status, so actually being used.
Right.
It's hard for us to know right now what it really is going to look like. There's a little bit about getting the word out to other units that we have this capability. So it's probably going to start a little slower than what it becomes before we truly get to that 200 range days of utilization per year. We go through final testing this May. We've got our first unit signed up right now. Rodney, you told me September?
We've got a couple more interested before September.
Yeah, so we'll see what shakes out. But really, we're going to start learning this summer. We probably expect it to take us about a year to figure out what normal looks like. And we'd be glad to come back and share the good news, the sounds of freedom, which you guys will probably be able to tell us about from your vantage point.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commander.
Thank you for your service.
Yes, ma'am.
So, are we going to be expecting more helicopters to be coming over and aviation to be flying over regularly?
When you look at the range capability, there is going to be an uptick in aviation.
Okay. And will it, like the big booms, that's going to be uptick too?
So when we get those heavier ground combat units with the tanks and the Bradleys, you may hear more of those booms, or Hellfire missiles that are fired off helicopters. Those tend to make a larger boom as well. Some of the smaller ordnance, based on the atmosphere, you're not going to hear as much. If I'm shooting a 2 3/4 inch rocket, or I'm shooting a 50 caliber bullet, that's probably not going to be heard, unless the wind's just perfect. But, when you're throwing a 120 millimeter sabot round downrange, you will probably hear that, if atmospheric conditions are right. Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So the 20th of May, I believe, when you said you will open the range back up, and do you
here in central Kentucky, but it's gonna have ramifications across our whole military. And I mean, that's pretty special. I mean, there's gonna be Marines that find out about this thing. You know, we're gonna get Air Force combat controllers out here. I mean, it's really gonna impact the Department of Defense.
And it would be kind of cyclical in that, do you kind of work up to graduate class? In other words, it won't be just the same every day, but you actually do little parts and then you put it all together, so there will be nights where I can climb up on the knob and watch a real fireworks show.
You absolutely will.
All those tracers and everything going down range used to be very neat to watch.
And you're absolutely right. So the way you describe a training progression, I mean, a range, Yano range plus the other ranges we have on Fort Knox, I can basically bring a unit on with very, very low levels of proficiency as working as a team, and I can take them all the way up. So it is going to be a great place to go through that progression.
I still wouldn't recommend climbing too close up.
Oh, yeah.
I'll stay on the other side of Camp Rashid. And you get up on the knob and Camp Rashid, behind Camp Rashid, though, you can see one of the sections of the way.
I just want to say that, looking at it like Hilly being from Lebanon Junction, I know they'll scale the noise is going to be more, it has to be, I understand that, you got to live with it, but what I'm going to say is, for every negative, positive, both ways.
Yes, sir.
I know, I'm familiar with the regular economy over there, as they started moving out the tanks and stuff, it depressed the area somewhat with all the housing that was available, and the businesses was closing. This is going to impact the sound and the growth of Fort Knox, it's also going to impact the positive for that area. If it helps Radcliffe's economy, it's going to help ours. So there is a good side to this.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Also grew up in Lebanon Junction, so as a small person, we would scream Knox when we heard the booms. But I currently live in an area of people that aren't from this area, so the question is, what is that noise all the time? Is there a threshold of training of which you guys are going to put notifications out so I can go ahead and start letting these people know what this is? And you know, I know you said it's difficult to determine what the threshold of noise is going to be, but how can I most easily start letting people know ahead of time to expect this?
So what I'll tell you, first off, ma'am, we've got a follow-on discussion out with,
I watch your website, you know, and when the notices go out, I try to post it, but if there's a better way to start letting people know, you know, I want to help.
well, really tying in between, so Mr. Mason, he runs my range operations, so he knows the schedule as far out as we know it, and he's in consistent communication with our public affairs officer. So as this gentleman described, when we know a training event is going to be more complex, i.e. more boom, right, we will have that conversation and then push it out to the community. So I mean, that is truly the best way is following Facebook, following X, Twitter. Yes, ma'am.
I'm assuming when you all speak at the Chamber Luncheon in May, we're going to hear more about this. So I just wanted to invite you all to come to the Chamber Luncheon May 9th to hear more about it. There may be additional information out by then too. But also, I know you did mention emails to the judge and to the mayors, and that's something that we can put out through the chamber as well, so that the public is well aware of active days and.
No, it's awesome. Hey, Ryan, go ahead and stand up. All right. So Ryan runs our public affairs for the garrison on Fort Knox. So honestly, if anybody's got any questions, our public affairs office will be more than happy to take your contact information, make sure we communicate with you. And we also have a standardized email blast we send out to leaders quarterly, you know, whether that's county level leadership, city level leadership. So if someone's not feeling included on that, talk to Ryan.
Yeah, and we're in constant contact.
Awesome. No, thank you, man. Look forward to May.
Okay. Well, Commander, thank you so much. And there's a lot of responsibilities over at Fort Knox, and for also, I see your mountain patch. Were you part of the 3rd Brigade at one time, or the
The
mountain.
Mount up at Fort Drum, New York.
Fort Drum? There you go. Yes, sir. Well, thank you for all that you've done.
Thank you, Judge.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Most important person.
Thank you.
There you go. Sam is.
That's probably my biggest regret in life is not having served in the military. My life took me a different direction, but I appreciate everything you all do, and those of you in here that, I know there's others that have served as well, so I really, really appreciate that. And to me, there's nothing more exciting than that sound of freedom. So with everything going on in the world right now, having Fort Knox right next to us as a neighbor is very comforting.
Yep. Okay. All right. Whitney? Good morning.
Good morning. For those that don't know me, my name is Whitney Miller. I'm the director at the 911 Center for Bullitt County. Emergency was 74,487, and outbound calls were a little bit over 23. So as you see, there's more non-emergency than emergency. Just because a call comes in on a non-emergency line doesn't necessarily mean that it's not emergency. That's how we get medical transports from facilities, burglar alarms, fire alarms, medical alarms all come in on our admin lines, which doesn't come in on the 911 line. And also transfers from other 911 centers would come in on those admin lines. So just because we're getting the call on that line doesn't necessarily mean it's not an emergency. Outbound calls can range in calling on-call people after hours, calling wrecker service, follow-ups whenever we get an abandoned call. So somebody calls 911, hangs up, we call every single call back, try to reach that person as best that we can with different resources we have to ensure that they are not in any danger or don't need any help. So those total to our outbound calls as well. Next slide, please. This compares our 2022 and 2023 call volume. So CAD entries in 2022 was a little bit over 84,000.
Oh, yeah.
And in 2023, we had CAD entries of 94,511. And then our call volume increased as well. In 2022, we had 114,000 calls, a little bit over that. And in 2023, we had 120,362 phone calls that were processed. So call volume is increasing. Next slide, please. This is another comparison, 2022 analytics to 2023. Again, how everything has increased. That's the increase of the first column of law enforcement calls for service. The blue is 2022, orange is 2023. A slight increase for EMS, but there was an increase, and about 2,000 or so increased call volumes for fire. But that's how they compare for call service there, the volume. Next slide, please. A web graph that I come up with. Hopefully you guys can see it okay. If you can't, just let me know. But this is really still just scratching the surface of what happens in the 911 center. So in the middle you see of the web graph is 911. We're there 24/7, so we do a lot of things because we're there all hours of the day, every single day. This all kind of branches off of everything that we do, who we work with. In a nutshell, yes, we answer calls, we dispatch police, fire, and EMS, but it stems significantly from that. We have extended services that we call, like the courts, judges on call, CPS, APS. We set off the tornado sirens whenever there's a warning. We call coroners when they're needed, animal control. Everything kind of starts at dispatch. And I just wanted to share this so you can see, how many hands we have in multiple tills. And to consider staff expansion in the near future. I would like to expand staff in 2024 and 2025 and 2025 to 2026. I performed an equation by a national dispatch standard that says based off of our population and our call volume, how many dispatchers that we should have, which should be anywhere from 19 to 21, and that gives the best optimal service to the citizens, first responders, and keep us out of liability, being able to process those calls in a more timely manner. On average, our wait time was 6 seconds, but we've been fully staffed for 2 months, and just in those 2 months, we've dropped down a whole second to our wait time is 5 seconds. So ideally, with more dispatchers, call takers in there, we can process those calls, answer them quicker. It's less time that people are waiting, and we can get them emergency services. I would like to start with 2 dispatchers, 2024, 2025, to result in 18 full-time dispatchers. Right now, we're only approved to have 16 full-time dispatchers. And again, that national standard says we should have anywhere from 19 to 21 full-time dispatchers total. As you know, you guys have been here as long as I have, if not longer, how much the county has expanded. I've worked here for 11 years. I've grown up here most of my life, but we have additional EMS service. The police departments, fire departments, EMS, they've all expanded for the call volume. However, dispatch, we've had the same amount of staffing since 2011. So I think it would be very beneficial if we could get more dispatchers in there because we have the room for it because of the facility we got in 2020.
Okay. And any questions for Whitney? That was great.
Thank you.
The numbers tell the tale. And Whitney, I'll assure you we'll look at those numbers to be able to get you some more help for the 24-25 budget.
Yep, I have those numbers ready for us whenever we have our budget meeting, and that's the plan for 2024, 2025, along with the others, but that's one of the big ones right now.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a lot of work putting that together, and that helps us get a picture of what y'all are doing over there. And I can promise you myself, I'll do whatever I can do to help support add some extra help, because that is obviously a wake-up call, 2011, no additional staff. And as you are correct, some of the other agencies that continue to add people and grow, and this county's grow amazingly, since that amount of time. So yeah, we definitely want to make sure everybody's, alert, on the top of their game, and not being overworked. So if we can provide some extra people, I'll do anything I can in my power to help.
I appreciate that. Whatever we can do to shed light on, significance, importance of what we're doing in there. And I know that a couple of magistrates have come and viewed the center, so anybody, if you don't have my contact information, I can get that to you. Come in, take a further look at everything, monitor for a little bit and see what it's like in the hot seat. We can definitely do that.
Okay.
All right.
Whitney, I do have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you all have just 2 shifts, or is there 3 shifts?
Right now we have 2. With the expansion of the staffing, I'd like to have 3. So we have 2 different rotations, and we have a day shift and a night shift for each rotation. But with the staff expansion, I would like to include a mid-shift during the busiest time during the day to assist with processing those calls, so we could have more than 1 call taker at a time. Because right now we have 1 person that answer calls, and then we have a backup, but that backup already has a station or a channel assigned to them. So that way we can distribute that workload out better and process the calls better. So I would like to have, at least 2 call takers at a time processing calls as they come in during the busiest time of the day.
I want to make sure I understood right. You said that for the number of calls that you have received, that really you should have 19 to 21 on staff
Total.
total.
And an odd number ideally doesn't work because, you want to have an equal amount on each shift. So 18 to 20 would be great. And then as things increase, additional admin staff for quality assurance, technical support, our NCIC, open records, training, et cetera, all on this web graph that I made for you guys.
I know, it may have been in that slide and I may have missed it. I know there's a lot that goes into this in terms of the time, but what would you say the average amount of time is if it's a legitimate 911 call? What's the amount of time a dispatcher's on the phone with someone?
It depends on the type of emergency and how long it's taking us to get call or information out of the callers, because they reach something called a hysteria threshold, and a lot of times they're just screaming, and it's perceived people think we know where they're at, and it doesn't actually work that way. The signal bounces off of cell towers. But 3 minutes or so, the first thing that we do is get the address, validate the address, try to figure out what's going on, and almost immediately we'll save that call and get responders started that way. And then as we have people started that way, then we're still talking to the caller and getting further information and updating that computer system, because the people in the field, the responders, they have access, they see the notes on that computer system on their side.
Is there anything that we can do to help inform the public about, non-emergency calls and what those numbers are? So it might be a good day, we can all share it on our Facebook. But what are the non-emergency numbers that might apply to share? I mean, that might be every agency has their own, I'm not sure. But if someone has what they think might be emergency, but really not an emergency, what would be the right steps instead of calling 911?
Yeah, I can share our non-emergency lines as well as the police department non-emergency lines, or their websites. Their websites might actually be more helpful. But since we're there 24/7, we kind of are a catch-all, and even we're on police departments recordings. If you've not reached anybody or you have further, call this number and it'll direct them to us. So
It might be just a good time as a reminder, if you could send that out to Andy or office, maybe we can post that on our Facebook page just to remind people, that there's other numbers to call instead of timing the 911 number if it is a non-emergency.
Yeah, and that does happen. Unfortunately, we do have to put people on hold because based off of how many people we have staffed at the time, if somebody's on a non-emergency call, we're definitely going to put that on hold and answer the 911 call that's coming in. So they'll have to wait until that clears up.
Well, thank you.
No problem. Thank you guys.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Whitney.
Whitney.
Okay. Second reading for zoning ordinance 2024Z -03, Polly Hasing.
Commonwealth of Kentucky, County of Bullitt, zoning ordinance number 24-01, ordinance of zoning of certain property from R1 residential to agricultural. Property in question is 12.7 acres, more or less, located at 358 Walls Hollow Road, parcel number 027-000-00-027 in an unincorporated area of the county. Whereas the Fiscal Court of Bullitt County has considered the evidence of the public hearing held by the Joint Planning Commission and the recommendations of the Commission, the information provided in the staff report of the Office of Bullitt Planning and Zoning, and the testimony and evidence presented at the public hearing held by the Fiscal Court, and whereas the Fiscal Court concurs in and adopts the reasons of the Joint Planning Commission for said zoning change, and approves and accepts the recommendations of the Planning Commission in this matter as set out in said minutes, and determines that the proposed zoning change is acceptable and should be approved. Now therefore be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of County of Bullitt, Commonwealth of Kentucky, Section 1, that the above property located in the unincorporated area particularly described in the minutes and records of the Planning Commission in docket number 2024Z-03 is hereby changed from R1 residential to agricultural. This ordinance shall take effect upon passage and publication as required by law. Section 3. Should any section, provision, or part of this ordinance be declared unconstitutional or invalid for any reason by a court of competent jurisdiction, then the remainder of this ordinance shall not be affected and shall remain in full force and effect. Section 4. All ordinances and resolutions to the extent they are inconsistent herewith are hereby repealed. Given first reading and public hearing at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 6th day of February 2024. Given second reading at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 20th day of February 2024.
Thank you, Tammy.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the request for zoning for ordinance 2024Z-03.
Got a motion by First District Magistrate Sanders, a second by Third District Magistrate Johnson. to take the planning and zoning's recommendation for zoning ordinance 2024-Z-03, Polly Hastings. Sam, call the roll, please.
Sanders.
Yes.
Logston.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Blamel.
Yes.
Judge Summers.
Yes.
Motion carried.
The next item on the agenda is the easement for the water main extension. I'm going to say the easement for the line to run through our property, of which we will be putting a road on top of it for the, what I'm going to say, the resort that we're building. Or not we're building, but the developer.
I've considered both different opportunities, and I'd be in agreement with you. I know the last time we did come to some type of financial agreement with them, but based on the location of where this is, how it's going to affect the property, and what it's going to do to improve the area, I would be okay to second that. Is that a motion on the floor?
Yeah, I'll put it in the form of a motion.
I'll second that motion.
Any other discussion? Brian, I appreciate your thoughts about this earlier.
I just received this, the deed, the copy of the plat this morning, so I was looking over it. It looks okay to me, but I haven't had a lot of time to just kind of look at it right before the meeting.
Sure. No, it's fine.
I think, in my opinion, probably the bill would outweigh the offer, more than outweigh the cost.
Thank you.
Probably make us better in their eyes as far as
Absolutely.
project.
Yeah, being a good partner. Anything else, members?
No, I just know that you've had a verbal conversation with them about being able to utilize that field.
Yeah, and so and Keith's been a part of that, and Kay too.
I think that's a big part of my decision, and that's obviously going to help us out and improve that area and stuff there.
Yep. Okay, Sam, call the roll, please.
Logston.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Blamel.
Yes.
Judge Summers.
Yes,
Sanders.
Yes.
Motion carried.
thank you. The 3+1 agreement, Keith and Brian, either of you all,
Yeah, I mean,
and I guess where I'm at with it, do you all want to move forward with it to explore it, or it's up to the two of them, not even to put y'all on the spot, but that was part of our...
I'm
Brian
okay
and I,
with presenting it, to go on and move forward with it, but, if you
I
have
agree
anything
with,
else to add.
no, we presented it, they did a great presentation, the contract, Ms. Baker's looked at the contract.
Looked okay.
Again, this is an analysis of liquidity that we would have for, to invest through our local banks. We'll do a request for proposal after that. It is an annual fee of $12,750, but if they do what they say they're going to do, and Mr. Blemel's had, he started the conversations with them, but their track record is good, so we should make that about tenfold.
Okay.
So again, I'm not going to speak for Blemel, but I think we want to move forward with this.
Yeah, I mean, I can put that in the form of a motion if you want to move forward with an agreement with 3+1 for investment of.
Okay.
I did want to ask Keith, you weren't here at that last meeting when they presented, I did have some concerns, but it sounds like we hadn't had a chance to talk, but it sounds like, you're in favor of it, so
No, I was
obviously.
here for that, for the 3+1.
Okay, you
Yeah.
were here for that one, okay.
They came in from New York that.
Yeah, that was the only thing, I guess, but you're okay with it and everything? 'Cause, that was the only thing I was concerned, it just didn't seem like they had a lot of, counties that they were working with already, and with them being out of state, I didn't know if there's somebody local that could provide the same type of
Yeah, Northern Kentucky is
services.
where they've already started.
Yeah, Boone County is the only one that they said, I think they're working with Franklin County is kind of doing what we're doing.
Okay, but our commitment, just to refresh my memory, was the $12,000 for the year. And then was there any, if they make us $1 million, do they take a cut of that?
Nope.
It's just the one-time consulting fee. And that was for a one-year agreement, is that right?
Yeah.
Surely we can make 12,000.
Okay.
Well, Boone County made, no, they have
Yeah,
a
they were
longer
supposed to-
budget, but they made $1.5 million on
Right.
on their
Right.
tax.
Of the installment of the video arraignment equipment, this is actually the software. And what this is it's through Trace 3, and the resolution has to be read and passed, but we're gonna get the $44,018 back that we are gonna spend for the software. That's all it is.
Okay,
It's gonna be a basic washout.
good.
We just have to pass the resolution today. I believe Candy had it in on the bills to pay, and that's basically what it is.
There's no reason to read that or anything, we don't have to read
You
that.
have to pass the
It's a resolution, we have to.
Okay.
Okay. Tammy?
I only have one in my, I'm sorry, I'm going to borrow time real quick. This 2023 to 2024 House Bill 1 Jail Arraignment Equipment Phase 2, authorizing Resolution 24-01, County of Bullitt, adoption of a resolution of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court authorizing the filing of a Kentucky House Bill 1 Jail Arraignment Equipment Phase 2 grant application for up to $44,018 in House Bill 1 project funds with the Department for Local Government, or DLG, authorizing and directing the Bullitt County Judge Executive to execute any documents which are deemed necessary by DLG to carry out the project, and authorizing the Judge Executive to act as the authorized correspondent for this project. Whereas Bullitt County desires to purchase jail arraignment equipment approved by the Administrative Office of the Courts on behalf of the residents of the county by supporting the House Bill 1 project, and whereas it is recognized that House Bill 1 monies available to the county for the purposes stated herein pursuant to 2022 Kentucky General Assembly House Bill 1 Budget Bill impose certain obligations and responsibilities upon the county and will require, among other things, 1, approval of a satisfactory application transmitted to DLG for approval, and 2, other obligations of the county in connection with receiving the House Bill 1 grant of monies for the purposes stated herein. Now therefore be it resolved this 20th day of February 2024 by Bullitt County Fiscal Court that a House Bill 1 Jail Arraignment Equipment Phase 2 grant application on behalf of the county for House Bill 1 monies up to $44,018 for jail video arraignment equipment Phase 2 project shall be submitted to DLG. The county shall provide such additional information and furnish such documentation as may be required, and the county judge executive shall act as the authorized correspondent for this project.
Okay, thank you, Tammy. I'll entertain a motion for a vote.
So moved for resolution 2401.
Okay.
House Bill.
Got a motion by 4th District Magistrate Blamo, a second by Second District Magistrate Logsdon to approve Resolution 24-01 on House Bill 1, which has been really kind to us with not only the jail, but the election equipment as well. Sam, call the roll.
Flemel,
Yes.
Judge Summers,
Yes.
Sanders,
Yes.
Logsdon,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay, the next one, Ken, are you familiar with it? It's a bid from Tennell Painting to do some work in the Sheriff's Office. Dustin, please, sir.
Hello, this is it's going to be similar to the roof request we did for the SOF, or the building over here in Saltville Court, a meeting or so ago. Last year when the sheriff turned over his excess fees at the end of his first term, you all had created that line item for building and property renovations. This was one of the requests we had put in there, was to paint our offices here at 300 South Buckman. So this is just a proposal to let you all know that that's the proposal we received that we want to move forward with, and just to let you all know and get your agreement on it.
Okay.
I guess I'm confused. What's all the names on here for?
That's their pay.
That's the offices, like whose office it is. And,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
He just used that when he was writing out the estimate.
There's several offices over there.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we have, go ahead.
Was this the only bid?
No, we got 3 bids. They were all within about $2,000 of each other, except for one bid that was just over $20,000. So we didn't go with that one. So.
And this is only labor, we're supplying the material and the equipment?
No, he's supplying.
Oh,
He's supplying.
the contractor.
Yep.
Yep.
I see that now.
Yeah.
That paint?
Well, I just painted a little bitty house since I found out.
Yeah, so we got other bids.
Yeah, so was
One
mine.
company was called Quality Painting, and they were $14,700, just over that. Another one, like I said, it was actually $27,000. And then another one that we got a bid for was $13,500. So
Yeah.
they're
Okay.
all fairly
Thanks
close.
for your diligence. I'll put that in the form of a motion that we accept the bid proposal from Tennell Painting for Sheriff's Office in the amount, off the page, $14,425.
Yep.
Check to be cut. Does it look like they require anything up front in this proposal that I'm aware of?
No.
But so I assume check would be cut at completion of the job?
Yeah, usually what we would do and what we intend to do on the roof over there, once the job's complete, we would, pay the vendor and then request reimbursement through
Okay.
Canan's office.
Yep. Okay.
I don't know, Sheriff's Office might be a little sensitive, but I don't know.
The inmates.
Good point.
Office.
It's a real good point.
But when I had mine done, they actually had a professional painter in custody who came and did it. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if he's still in jail or not, but he was doing his professional painter. He did a good job.
You go get him?
There you go. Well, okay, well, those are some good suggestions and maybe opportunities for down the road, but right now I have a motion by Second District Magistrate Logsdon, a second by Fourth District Magistrate Flemel, unless I heard Joe wrong, to approve the sheriff's bid proposal to repaint the offices over there. Sam, call the roll.
Judge Summers,
Yes.
Sanders,
Yes.
Logsdon,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Flemel,
Yes.
motion carried.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Then item number 5, Chris, or I can talk about this either way, it depends on the pleasures of the court. But what we have here, we had an EMT class, which we had quite the healthy discussion on 2 meetings ago. The graduation was last Friday. We had 17 graduate, pass their exams, of which these are the ones that we want to have applied to our operation and want to hire out of that group. The rest of them are staying with, as of now, staying with the Zonton Fire Department Southeast and the Bullitt County Jail. So I'm going to put that in the form of a motion to hire all 5 of them. I can't take my hat off enough for what Ms. Schaffner and the rest of the EMS leadership team did, and the volunteer time that Ms. Thompson put in, making that class so successful and being able to pass their exams so quickly.
I'll second that. I do want to say though before, thank you all for including that turnover sheet and stuff. It gives us kind of an insight and it helps like what's going on and why, you know. We had a few people leave, obviously opened up some opportunities in January and February, and you've got those reasons outlined. I like seeing that. That's nice. Thanks. So I guess I'll second that, and I'm excited too that our class is, you know, paying some, you know, it's paying off. So.
Okay. Any other discussion, members?
So these went to our class.
Yes, sir.
They committed for so long, or is it
No,
they got a better offer to go as soon as?
if they do, but they're all from Bullitt County. And they're all, let's put it this way, the camaraderie of the class was something that I hadn't seen in a long time, except for the classes that we didn't put them on, but the classes that the the fire departments had put together. I mean, they're here for the betterment of the community because the rest of them are going to like Zonton, Southeast, and even our jail. So and no, we don't have a lifetime commitment with them, but we would have a commitment with them for paramedics and all the fun stuff like that, Brian.
I think what he's also saying, though, wasn't there a commitment like for educational expenses if they leave before a year?
Oh, 1 year. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No. Yeah. Yeah, I apologize, Brian. I thought you meant moving forward all the way around for.
Something like a
What was,
1 year.
Yeah.
what was the total number of those that signed up to do that?
There were 19 total.
That we pay? Okay. 10 of them? Okay.
Say 50% is pretty good to keep them in, isn't it?
Well, we still count them because they went to.
Yeah.
Well,
Out of the 8, 4 doesn't pass their national registry, so the other 4 still have to pass that. If they pass that, then we're gonna offer them a position also.
okay. But I think the judge mentioned something about one of them maybe even going to the detention center. Is that correct? So in addition to this, we've got one.
One of the girls who took the class, she works for the detention center currently, so it's gonna be up to her to make a decision on whether or not she wants to join EMS or stay at detention center.
But she's not listed on here right now.
No, she's
No.
already employed at the detention center.
Okay,
She just
okay.
happened to she took the class, actually unpaid.
Okay.
While she was working at a detention center, second shift.
Well, thank you all.
Okay, so y'all had 5 that y'all have hired, right?
Yes.
Okay, yes. One of those happens to be, Delta Fires, she was doing the class unpaid.
Unpaid?
I guess so to answer your question, of the 5 that we're hiring, 4 of them
4 of those
went through our class.
4 of the 10, right?
And then of the 10, just to help us out, see how successful it was, 2 of them left before the class was ever over, so 4 of the 8. So the other, one of them went to, with the other 3, did they just change it?
We're still waiting on the other 4 to pass their national registry.
Okay, so there's still a possibility that they may.
They passed the class, but they have to pass their national.
Okay, I was just curious if they went a different direction, went to somebody else. Okay, well, that's good.
We plan on hiring her, hopefully they'll want to come work with us once they pass their exams.
Okay, good deal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I put that in the form of a motion to hire the 5 that we have on the list from our EMT recruiting class.
I'll second that.
I got a second from 2nd District Magistrate Logston. Any other discussion? Sam, call the roll, please.
Sanders.
Yes.
Logston.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Flamel.
Yes.
Judge Summers.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. At this time, Brian, I'll start with you. If it's okay, I can go to the other end of the table too.
Yeah. I don't really have anything, I guess, I was wondering, do you know if we've had any response on the lights on 45? Everybody's looking at that. There was one that was down, some of them weren't working.
I have not, but we will follow up on that. And also, while you're here, the Greenwell Road part, we would like to chat about that too. Okay? Karen?
I don't know much, but I do have a question about the Zolton Road Bridge. Did we get any update on when that might be complete?
No.
We'll check on that.
We've had suggestions, though, to put fill on the bypass road. I can't remember the name of it because the drop-off is so much. Save Mill, thank you, Brian. And we have talked to Bill and them about that. If they'll do it. If not, I was going to ask permission from the court for us to do it. So. Okay? All right. Sean?
I'm good, thank you.
Vera?
Yes, I'd like to thank EMA, EMT, and all other first responders that helped with the search and rescue for Lynn Murray last week, and the successful search. So I appreciate what y'all did.
There you go. Anything else, Vera?
Nope.
I'd like to ditto Vera because that was an extensive search for 2-3 days, and can't appreciate y'all enough, Rebecca, and dragging him up a 300-foot embankment, and Justin and John for Chris. I'm not forgetting about you, but I know Rebecca strapped him in, and so it's you all did a yeoman's job in performing that. I do have an announcement, though, that I would like this room and literally the first responders. The hospital has a firm date of March the 18th for their grand opening, and that's something that this community has needed, and we've worked hard on as a community to be able to get it here. So please come out on the 18th. We'll put the exact time up. The governor's going to really cut the ribbon and speak. I don't think we're going to be signing another piece of steel beam and putting it up because it is completed. And also, we have some templates in here for two different venues for our community. The first one is, and this is back to U of L Health, the Fraser Rehab. We've applied for $25 million through the state government to bring an extension of Fraser Rehab to this community. We don't have that service. It will have 20 beds or 20, what I'm going to say, immunization or stations, and they'll be doing real research there as well. The second one is for our thing on 240, not on 245, but on I-65, the service center that the state owns. They're looking for support for that to widen the entrance and to make it bigger because of the traffic stacks up on Highway 65 as well. Be able to get all the truck traffic in there as well. We have those forms in the judge's office. We'll be happy to communicate them out to you electronically, but there's spots on there to put your own name, and let's put it this way, opportunities to help us get those two done. Fraser Rehab is big. It's a cancer center that'll literally service central Kentucky as well. But then out here on our rest area, I don't know if you've ever seen that traffic. It's terrible. It backs back up out of there also. So we have both of those, what I'm going to say, forms of recommendations to send the state government on both ends of it, to the transportation and also to Senator Stivers and the House David Osborne. So that's all I have. And Vera, what time is it?
It's 10:35 and time to resign.
Okay. And I'll second that motion. Sam, call the roll.
Logston?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Blumel?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes,
Sanders?
Yes.
Motion carried.
thank you all.